Welcome ladies and gents, Chris Eubank here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter. Of course, you can subscribe to the channel. Let's talk boxing. Before we do, I've upped the volume on this microphone. Somebody had complained on the previous video that it was just too low. In the past, people had complained that it was too high. So I'm trying to find the right balance for you guys. So please give me some feedback regarding the sound quality. Moving on from that, let's talk boxing. By this point, you guys are fully aware that Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall's showdown has been postponed due to the death of Queen Elizabeth II. It will be rescheduled for October the 15th at the O2 Arena in London. Now, this does have wider ramifications, and I want to talk about those things and talk about what may have been a potential alternative to this, and also some boxing related effects of what has happened here. Now, please bear in mind, when it comes to this discussion, we're talking about the ramifications regarding boxing. There are going to be people out there that consider the monarchy to be intertwined with their identity, their national identity, their patriotism. Then you're going to get other people that don't see it that way at all. They see monarchs as fallible people that are capable of both the moral and the immoral, and as a result, they are not above criticism. Regardless of where your position is on this is not the place to debate that in the comment section down below. Please keep it boxing. Let's focus on the ramifications of what this means. And yes, you can discuss what is an appropriate approach to take. That's indeed the whole point of this topic. But please try and keep it respectful, guys. Let's not get the channel flagged or banned or anything like that. Now, with regards to the postponement, would it have been better, as Sam Jones says, to enable boxing to go ahead? Let's bear in mind that other sports like cricket have gone ahead. And instead of cancelling, you have a nice tribute, for instance, to the Queen. You have something which is going to please royalists in that sense. They're going to feel that element of respect, and the sport can still go on. And as Sam Jones said, what's more patriotic than having an arena full of people singing the national anthem and coming together and celebrating? Maybe that would have been the best approach. Let me know what you think about that. With regards to boxing itself and the ramifications, outside of the ring, you have to understand the severity of this sort of thing, cancelling an event, because unlike football, for instance, where a football player will get paid regardless, he will earn a salary. When it comes to boxing, if you don't fight, you don't get paid. A lot of fighters have bills to pay. Maxie Hughes tweeted about this. And you have to understand, when we're talking about bills, we're not just talking about, you know, the cost of camp, the trainer, the sparring partners, the traveling and things like that. You're talking about the bills that they have to pay away from the sport, their mortgages, their electricity bills. You know, we all know that energy prices are about to go sky high. And you have to understand, not all boxers, in fact, a very small fraction of boxers are millionaires. The majority of boxers, even guys that might be top 10 guys but are not yet world champions, are not earning the sort of money that other top athletes in other top sports earn. A lot of fighters will often have second jobs. So this is a difficult scenario if you're a fighter. Yes, you want to show your respect and you can't be too vocal about what you feel is unjust or unnecessary because you're going to get a backlash. But in reality, people have lives. So would it have been a more appropriate approach to take to enable the fights to go on? Additionally, there's something else you need to think about. And this came to the fore when we're talking about another fight that was on the undercard, and that was Alicia Baumgardner's fight against Michaela Meyer. Prior to the fight being postponed, they were initially delaying the weigh-ins. They were waiting for a decision to come in before the British Board of Boxing Control made a decision. And Claressa Shields tweeted to say that the weigh-ins had been pushed back to 3 p.m. Alicia Baumgardner decided to start trolling Michaela Meyer a little bit. And she said, I know Meyer's hurting right now. Let me go take a nap. McFat Meyer is mad that she had to go and make the weight again. I told her she better move up to 135. She didn't take my advice. And Michaela Meyer wrote, you wish, put up a middle finger. And Alicia Baumgardner later on tweeted again to say, you need an IV. Now, the reason that this is important is because when you're talking about fighters that are struggling to make the weight, it's not just a case of, okay, she made the weight, she's not going to fight, she's just going to go back to normal now and then make the weight again. You're talking about the fight happening within 5 weeks. So how does a fighter peak, allow themselves to drop off, and then try and make the weight again and peak at the right time? In other words, somebody like George Groves, for instance, used to say that he enjoyed blowing up slightly between fights. Not massively in the way Kell Brook did is unhealthy, but you need to be able to put on weight between fights because it keeps your immune system more rugged, but also not to feel depleted and drained. So now Michaela, who was struggling to make the weight, according to reports and according to her opponent, Baumgardner. Is she going to be depleting herself for a longer period of time, essentially? So she's depleted. She won't be able to get back to her maximum or optimum level of post-fight weight before she has to start struggling to make the weight again. So this has ramifications, not just for the finances of fighters, but in terms of how they prepare as well. How do you go about peaking, then relaxing, then re-peaking within the right time? So this has some serious effects. Let me know what you think about that and how you think it could affect the fights moving forward. The IBF flyweight champion of the world, Sonny Edwards, has been ordered to face the former light flyweight champion of the world, Felix Alvarado, in what is no doubt going to be a very good fight. But it's very disappointing because we were also desperate to see that Julio Cesar Martinez bout. And Sonny Edwards was desperate for the fight. He's been saying it for a very long time. Jake Donovan put out a tweet to say Edwards agreed to the fight in July. He waited more than 7 weeks for a contract to be sent out, but it never arrived. The IBF assigned the September the 7th deadline to Matchroom to deliver the contracts that never arrived. Sonny Edwards said this is literally what happened. Both Probellum and Matchroom wanted the fight. My guess is that Martinez got back in camp with Reynoso and they realized 8 weeks isn't enough time for me. So it's not that Eddie Hearn didn't want to make the fight the way a few people are saying on Twitter. He couldn't deliver the fight or anything like that. The fact of the matter is it doesn't matter who the promoter is or what he does. If a fighter does not want to get in the ring, he doesn't want to get in the ring. The reality is this would have been a terrific clash of styles. You have the beautiful, dancing, bedazzling, gliding boxing of Sonny Edwards and the aggressive, heavy-handed but crude, tough approach from the Mexican Julio Cesar Martinez. And there's the background story of Martinez having beaten Edwards' brother, Charlie. So it makes for such a great story that could have really catapulted, in my opinion, Sonny Edwards into stardom, the sort of stardom that his talent warrants. We're not going to see that now, and it doesn't seem to be Sonny Edwards' fault. He seems to want all that smoke from everybody, and he's backed it up by being willing to get in the ring with everyone and anyone and calling out guys. And as Sonny Edwards tweeted today, this year Delakia and Ricardo Sandoval and now Martinez have all turned down / avoided a fight with me. 3 of the top 10. But I'm not avoided. I mean, it's ridiculous at this point, is it not? Let me know what you think about that. Moving on from that, let's talk about Bob Arum. Now, Bob Arum has come out and said that if he was Eddie Hearn, he too would not want to make the fight for Anthony Joshua against Tyson Fury. He feels that AJ needs to take a couple of fights to boost his confidence. Now, is this Bob Arum being honest, or is it a case of reverse psychology in a bid to try and bait AJ into taking the fight? This is a very proud man who's had a bit of a breakdown of late. So if I can sit there and just say, yeah, man, we all know you're going to get battered against Tyson Fury. The whole world knows it. You're not in a position to get in a ring with this guy. You can't lace this guy's gloves. So just chill, relax, go do your thing, go try and build up and let the king sit on his throne in the hope that AJ gets angry and thinks, I'm going to shut these fools up. In which case, he falls into the bait and takes the fight at a time frame that suits Fury. Is that what we're seeing here? It's very possible. Now, in the previous video, I made a case for both AJ taking the fight and not taking the fight. There are strong arguments on both sides of the aisle, in my humble opinion. In an ideal world, he would not take the fight at this stage. But like I said in that video, there are serious ramifications potentially if he does not long term for his career. Check out that video and you'll know what I mean. But what I'm asking here is whether Bob Arum knows exactly what he's doing and he's trying to play a game in the hope of baiting AJ into a trap. Let me know what you think, ladies and gents. The former top 10 pound for pound fighter in the world, Timothy Bradley, has said that he feels Canelo is going to beat the brakes off of Gennady Golovkin. Canelo is coming hungry, bro. He's working his tail off. He can't afford another loss. 2 back-to-back losses. His stock will definitely plummet. Now, regardless of how you think the fight's going to go, whether it will be competitive, whether you think that Canelo is going to do brilliantly, or whether Golovkin's going to pull off a shock, that last statement is definitely factual, is it not? His stock would plummet drastically if he was to lose to a 40-year-old Gennady Golovkin who's looked vulnerable to the body in recent fights and who many people actually feel beat Canelo on both occasions. I'm one of those people. So there'll be a lot of people that will say, well, hold on a sec. Okay, we gave him a pass for fighting Dimitri Bivol, a naturally bigger man at light heavyweight. Fair enough. He took a risk. It didn't work out for him. He's still the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. He's still an elite level fighter. He can come again, and who knows, he can claim another title at light heavyweight one day. His stock doesn't plummet that drastically. But if he was to lose again with those things in mind, well, that would have a serious effect on his overall legacy, I would imagine. People wouldn't just start saying he's starting to look past his best. People are going to start looking deeply into that resume and questioning the past too. At least that's how I see it. I'm not saying that would be the fair thing to do, But I'm just saying I could imagine that being the scenario. Let me know what you think about that. Canelo himself, however, he feels very confident. He was asked about the fight and what the probability is of him stopping Golovkin with a body shot, and he said it's a very high possibility. It's one of my best punches to the body. I'm going to work whatever, the head, the body, but my goal is to end the fight before the 12th round. So whatever I'm needed to do in the ring, I'm going to do. But this should be a great fight. He said, this kind of fight, our styles make this fight perfect. This is why it's a trilogy. We had two great fights because of our styles, and that's what makes it perfect. And I think this fight is going to be a good fight too, but I think I'm more mature. I'm in my prime. I feel confident. I think that's going to be the difference. It's interesting that he's focusing on himself there with regards to what the difference is going to be. He's not saying, yes, I've improved and Golovkin's declined. He's not even mentioning that. Is that because he's fully focused, or because maybe he knows that Golovkin's not quite what he used to be, but he wants the credit of having beaten him perhaps legitimately in the eyes of those that don't feel he'd won the previous fights legitimately? Let me know what you think about that and the mindset at the moment of Canelo Alvarez. With regards to Gennady Golovkin, he was also asked about the judging, and he said, I'll be honest with you, I moved on the next day. I haven't thought about it much. I realized that those people who gave those scores, they were used. They were used like disposable tissues are being used. It was a time to use them. They were used and then they were disposed of. Isn't that interesting? He's undermining those judges. He's basically calling them prostitutes. They prostituted themselves is basically what he's saying here. Is that not what he's saying? They're used, abused, and kicked to the side. And so it's interesting that he sees it in that way. He goes on to say, I cannot speak for him or his behavior. I think it just shows his true face. The way he was probably brought up and the level of toxicity around him. Toxic people are in his camp. So it's very interesting that he continues to troll Canelo Alvarez, continues to try and get under his skin. Do you think this is because he feels that at this ripe old age, he can't possibly go 12 rounds at the rate he used to go at? So he'd rather have a fire fight for 6 rounds and try to break something and take Canelo Alvarez out in that way. Let me know what you think regarding that. I personally cannot wait for this fight. Where do you lie in this camp? Moving on from that, Billy Joe Saunders is up to his old antics again. CHRIS EUBANK Jr. had put out a tweet to say, I always hear women talk about how men are liars, but come on. And he's put up a couple of photos of a before and after, a woman without makeup and then a woman with makeup. And another woman replied to say, at least she doesn't pretend that IBO is a real world title, sir. Wow, man, sassy. Sassy. That's clearly a woman who likes her makeup and feels very, very upset at CHRIS EUBANK for his comment. And so Billy Joe Saunders tweeted this, or rather put it out on Instagram, and he copied in Conor Benn and said, slap up this muppet. So you know how he likes to turn the screw. It seems like that beef is always there for Billy Joe. Do you ever think we'll see him back in the ring again? And if so, is a CHRIS EUBANK fight likely? Or is it just Billy Joe talking? Of course, we're now not that far away from the CHRIS EUBANK Jr. against Conor Benn fight. And CHRIS EUBANK, of course, has been mocking Conor Benn recently, walking around with KFC buckets and making out like he doesn't need to try anything. And he was saying all he has to do in the press conference is turn up and make the weight. As long as I make the weight, that's all I need to focus on. I'm not even going to actually train that hard for a guy like Conor Benn. And he's putting up Instagram stories of him eating KFC bargain buckets. The reality is, though, that he's then put up another tweet to say, while they are sleeping, make no mistake, we are working. And he looks like he's having a tough session, which he's making out is in the early hours of the morning or something, while Conor Benn is sleeping. So there's a bit of a contradiction here. What do you think CHRIS EUBANK is up to? Is he just contradicting himself because he's not thinking it through? Or is there a method to the madness? Is he trying to get Conor Benn to bite up and start pointing out the contradictions in the hope that he can just get angry and just get under his skin?
One thing I will say is that the face-off with Adi Oladipo is going to be released tomorrow. You have to check it out. Okay, I won't give away any spoilers, but there's one line where Conor Benn asks CHRIS EUBANK Jr., what do you think I am? A walk in the park? And wait for CHRIS EUBANK's response. It's hilarious.
Finally, someone tried to throw a sucker punch outside of the ring to YURIOKIS Gamboa. It wasn't the best of ideas. He misses there, he slips, he throws a combination, they end up grappling by the ring, and it gets broken up. Word to the wise here, when you're dealing with a former world champion, don't try and get brave and sucker punch him. He's probably got reactions a lot better than yours. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please let me know what your opinion is on all the things we've chatted about today. And I hope to hear from you guys soon. Please don't forget to hit a jab on the like button, a right cross on the subscribe button, and an uppercut on the notifications button. Take care. God bless.